let's take a look at a few Group A climates. So Group A climates are generally characterized with year-round warm temperatures, abundant rainfall, and we can usually find them north and south of the equator, about 15 to 25 degrees on either side of the equator. Now, I'm going to stress this year-round bit. This is interesting. I actually had the chance to live in equatorial Brazil for 2 years, about 8 degrees south of the equator. And no joke, it was 85 degrees Fahrenheit year-round. Occasionally, the temperature would rise up to 87, 88 degrees, and everyone complained that it was too hot. And some days, it cooled down to 82 degrees, and everyone would complain that it's too cold. So, yes, it really is a year-round warm temperature. It's quite consistent. Now, I was close to the coast, so yes, it was very, very consistent year-round. Further inland, farther away from the coastline, there's probably a little more variation, but your average temperature would not change. It was pretty constant all the way, all year round. The three major subgroups of your Group A are the tropical wet, tropical monsoon, tropical wet and dry. Tropical wet would be wet all year round. You've got your tropical rainforest. You can guarantee it's wet and luscious green growth year-round. The monsoon season, or the monsoon subgroup, is just what it sounds like. Remember when we talked about the monsoon? Monsoon means seasonal. So by monsoon, we mean that you have a really wet season and then another season that can either be sort of wet or a little bit drier, but there's a definite season involved. And then you have something called the tropical wet and dry. If you have ever watched nature channels, nature videos, and you've seen the elephants trudging through the nasty desert in order to get to a region that doesn't look much better, well, by the time they reach that region, it starts to rain, and then growth starts to happen, and everything is very tropical indeed. That's a good example of tropical wet and dry, where you go from practically tropical rainforest to almost a desert. Here's a good example of a tropical wet climate. AF means tropical wet. See that here. This is Iquitos, Peru, and yes, you can see the tropical rainforest there, and it stays like that year-round. It will not change. It's fun to explore these tropical rainforests. Then here's an AW group, A meaning the category, it's Group A, W would be the subgroup, and that is our tropical wet and dry. And this is what you see. Reminds you of Lion King, right? Yes, that's what we're talking about, that type of climate. And you can see actually the grass is quite dry here, and it's not very tropically at the moment. But when the rainy season comes, yes, it will be.